Hey, how doing? How corner island?
Is that you doing the introduction for me? Can I do the introduction? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna help you do the introduction. I'm gonna help you. Okay. So yeah, hey everybody, and welcome to Ages Cozy Crochet Corner. So totally relaxed in the corner right now, because we just got finished doing our little pretend photo shoot, didn't we? So we just did our little photo shoot for our dresses, and the littlest one, she does not like to take photos. So I'm pretty sure somewhere on side of me you see the dresses either on them or either on them or hanging up. So yeah, we had a lot of fun making it. The only reason why I wanted to come in before we go to the table is to talk about where to take the sizes. So Navina, stand up for me. Come here. So yeah, we want to take measurements around the waist, not waist, I'm sorry, around the top, because we want to make sure our dress is fitted good at the top. And I also say take measurements of the shoulder, where you want it to stop at in the back and where you want it to stop at in the front. And that is going to help you make sure that that area is right. Just remember, yarn is stretchy, so depending on what type of yarn you're using, make sure that your measurements, even if you have to come in a little bit on your measurements, that they're good and the dresses fit. So my girls totally love these dresses. So again, I just wanted to show you how I made them, and hopefully you make something of yourself. And I see in the background a little sneak peek to our next project. Peeking out. So let's get right to the table, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Okay, so we are at the table, and I am using 3 different colors for my ruffled dress. Now, I'm using impeccable yarn, and this is all medium 4 worsted weight yarn. And this color is LIPPY Rose Bonbon. This color is magenta, and this is a Burberry, a or something like that. I don't have the label for this one. And this one actually is Basic Stitch Lion Brand yarn, but it was the only color in a purplish color that I had that I wanted to mesh together with these colors. Now, there are 285 yards in this one. This one is 219 yards, and I have 2 of each of them. Now, I don't think I'm going to use all of that. I will let you know in the description box exactly how much of this I used. So let's get started. Now, this is dress I'm making for a little person. So yeah, I definitely don't think I'm going to use all of this. Now, all the measurements I told you to take, we're going to begin, and I think I'm going to begin with this color right here. So also, the only other thing we need to know is I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook, 4.5. We're going to need a yarn needle for this. And of course, we're taking customized measurements. So we're going to need our measuring tape to keep up with and make sure we're keeping in our measurements. Only thing I dislike about this yarn, it does not give a good starting point, so I'm gonna have to just pull this out and find my start. I want to start first with my waist. We're gonna work this dress up from the waist on up to right up under the shoulder. So we'll come back in and do the bottom ruffles after we've worked the top half. So I'm going to start with the color that I want to use on my top half. All right. Now I got a measurement of 20 for the waist that I want to do. So I have 20 inches. So I'm going to chain 20 inches. Okay. I'm just going to chain up until I have reached 20 inches. Okay, so I've already gotten my chain ready. So the first measurement that I told you to take is for the chest area, because we want our chest area to be tight and nice and fitted. Now, my measurement was 20. It took me 63 chains in order to get to my 20 mark. Okay. So once we have our chest size chained out, I want you to add 6 more chains to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we'll be taking these back off, but around the waist, and that's where we're starting. Around the waist, I want it to be a little bigger than the body, than the upper part of the body. So we'll be taking that back in. Now, make sure that your chain is not tangled, and slip stitch into the first chain that you've done. Okay, so we're just gonna grab our yarn and come through and come through again and chain up 1, 2. We'll be making this dress in half doubles, so the chain 2 that we're starting with is going to represent 1 half double, and then we're just going to place a half double crochet and all around our foundation chain until we come back to where we placed our chain of 2. We'll go all the way around and we'll come back here. Okay, so I have gotten all the way back to my chain 2 where I began. Now I want to slip stitch right in the top of that chain 2 and pull that through. I'll be chaining 1, 2 again. And now for this row, we want to start establishing where we're going to put our where our skirt's going to come in. So for this row, we're going to establish where our ruffles will be coming in at. Now, I decided I wanted 4 ruffles. My first ruffles will start off of my foundation chain right at the bottom. Okay. Now, so after I chain 2, I'm going to turn my work and I'm just going to go right into, not this one because the chain 2 holds for that first stitch, into the next stitch and place my half doubles all the way around. So we're going all the way around back in the direction in which we just came, placing our half doubles. Okay, so I've made it all the way back to my chain 2. I want to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2. And now I want to chain 2 again, and I'm going to turn my work back around yet again. So now I want to establish my ruffle rows, okay? I'm going to do 4 rows with ruffles. My first ruffle is going to begin here on my foundation chain. Right there where my foundation chain is, my first set of ruffles will be there. Now, this row is going to have ruffles as well. So I just want to yarn over and into the next stitch. I just want to work into the back stitch. So back loops only, yarn over and make my half double. So I'm going to yarn over, and if you look at it this way, you see there's a V. You just want to go through the back loop. Okay? So we're going to go all the way around, back loops only. And what we're doing is creating this front loop. This is where we'll be coming back to apply our ruffle. So I'm going to go all the way around with my back loops. So I have worked in my back loops all the way around. Then want to slip stitch into the chain 2 that we started with. Chain up 1, 2, and turn my work. Now I just want to go into every stitch and make half doubles, and we're going through both loops. Okay, so we're going to go right into our next stitch, and we're going to go all the way around, making our half doubles in both loops. So I've made it back around to my chain 2. I'm going to slip stitch through the top of my chain 2 and chain 2 again and turn my work. Okay, so after we chain 2, we're going to create 2 more ruffles rows for our ruffle skirt, and that's the back loop. So all back loop rows are going to create ruffle rows. We'll come back around to that later. So I'm going to go into the very next stitch, and I'm going to work in the half double and the back loop only. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm coming back around again to where I chained 2. I'm going to go through the top of that chain 2 and slip stitch that close. Chain 2 again, and we're going to turn our work. So after every row with a back loop only, we're going to have a row where we're going to do a half double through both loops. So I'm going to go through my next stitch and make half doubles all the way around in both loops. So I am back around to where my chain 2 is. I want to slip stitch this close, chain 1, 2, and turn my work. So now I'm on a row to establish my ruffles. So I'm going to go through the next stitch just in the back loops only, and make my half doubles. And now we'll go all the way around just like this. So I've made it all the way back around to my chain 2 area. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2. So before I'm going to chain 2, but before I go on, I want to look at this. Now, every time we created the back loop only area, this is where our ruffles are going to come into. So you're going to make as many of these areas as you want to for the ruffle rows you want. Okay, so I want 4. Again, we're going to use the foundation as one of the ruffle rows. That's where my ruffles on my skirt are going to begin. Then this one is 1, this one is 2, and this one is 3. So altogether, that is 4 rows of ruffles. Okay, so if you want more ruffles or less ruffles, you either add on or take off more of the ruffle making rows. So now that I'm done that, I'm going to turn my work, and now I want to put on all of my rows for the body area. So this is where the waist starts here, and now I want to put on all of my rows for the body area. So my body area from the waist up into under the arms on the chest is going to be 9 inches. So I want to put 1 row, and this is going to start where my 9 inches are going to come in at. So I'm going to go all the way around, just placing half doubles in both loops. We only do the back loop only on the ruffle rows, and we're done with that. So I'm going to go all the way around, just placing a half double in each stitch. So now I've made it back around. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 we began the row with, and I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to turn my work. So now we added 6 extra stitches because we wanted our waist smaller than our chest. Now that we are building up to our chest area, we want to get rid of those 6 stitches. We're going to decrease 2 times on every other row in order to do this. Okay, so how we're going to decrease, and the next 2 stitches, we're going to go into the next one, grab our yarn and pull up, then go immediately into the next one, grab our yarn, pull up, and we're going to take everything off our hook. Okay, and that is our first decrease. We will also be decreasing in the last 2 stitches. So I just want to go all the way around, making half doubles until I get to my last 2 stitches. So I've made it back around to my last 2 stitches. So I want to yarn over. I want to go into the next one, grab my yarn and come out, pull up, and I want to go immediately into the next one and grab my yarn and pull up. And then I'm going to take off everything off my hook and slip stitch into the top of the chain 2. Chain 2 and turn my work. So I want to go into the next stitch and just do a row of half doubles. And we've just taken off 2 stitches in that last row. So we have 4 more to go. So I'm going to place my row of half doubles all the way around. So I've just placed my half doubles all the way around. I want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 that I created. Chain 2 again and turn my work. So now that I'm here, I want to decrease again. So I'm going to decrease over the first 2 stitches and the last 2 stitches. So I want to go inside the next stitch, grab my yarn and pull up, go immediately into the following stitch, grab my yarn, pull up, and I want to take all the loops off of my hook. And now I'm just going to go all the way around, making half doubles until I get to my last 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm back around at my last 2 stitches. So I want to go inside the next one, grab my yarn and pull up, go immediately into the next one, grab my yarn and pull up, and then I want to take all of my loops off my hook and into the chain 2 I want to slip stitch. Chain 2, turn your work. So now I want to go around this whole piece and just place half doubles around the whole piece until I get to the opposite end, or all the way back around. So all together we have taken off 4 stitches, and we just have to take off 2 more. So I am back around to my chain 2 area. I want to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 area. Close that off, chain 2, and turn my work. Now what I want to do is my last decrease row. So I'm going to look at the next 2 stitches, and I'm going to go inside, grab my yarn, pull up, go immediately into the one next to it, grab my yarn, pull up, and take off all of the loops. And now I'm going to keep going and placing half doubles all the way around until I get to the last 2 stitches. So I've gotten back around to my last 2, oh, I went past it, my last 2 stitches. So I want to go inside, grab my yarn, pull up, go directly inside the next stitch, grab my yarn, pull up, and take all my loops off my hook. My chain 2 area, I want to go inside the top of that area and slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2, and we're going to turn our work. But this is the back of our dress, and so we have our ruffle rows. We have our rows where we have our, where we putting our ruffles. Okay, so the row past that begins our 9 inch, well, my 9 inches, and whatever yours may be. So I'm gonna go from the row here, and I see that I have to go up to my 9 inches for the body part. Okay, so I'm going to go up, just making half doubles, turning at the end of every row. So I'm going to go all the way around, not forgetting to turn my work. And I'm going to go all the way around, placing my half doubles until I get to my 9 inches. So whatever your measurement is from the waist all the way to up under the arms, or where you would like to stop the top of the dress, that's the inches that you'll go up. No more decreasing. We've already done that. And of course, with the decreasing, if you choose not to have the extra space in the waist and you want to keep it as the same size, then you can take out that decreasing portion altogether by just keeping it the same size all the way through. But I like it to have a little bit more space in my waist area for the little girls. Alright, so I'm gonna go all the way around and turn my work and go back around, and I'll see you after I get my 9 inches. Okay, I have gotten to the end of my 9 inches. As you see, it should look like that because we've taken 6 inches off, so it should not be a total square or anything. You should see that it comes in. Okay, so let me turn this to the side. So this is where my back loop only, where my ruffles will begin. Row, this is the last one right here. So I just want to show you that I want to slightly be able to pull this because this is yarn and it will stretch a little bit. So I'm a little bit short of my 9 inches. Stay there. Okay, I'm a little bit short of my 9 inches. But if I bring this up a little bit, then I'm there. I don't want to go exactly to that. That's going to give me a little bit more space when it starts to stretch. So if I can get there with a light tug, not a super, you don't want to super stretch your yarn, but a light tug, okay, takes me right to 9 inches. So I want to leave that little bit of space for a little bit of give to my yarn, especially depending on what type of yarn you're using. If you're using super stretchy yarn, then you want to make sure you come in and see how far it's going to go. So like I said, with a light stretch, it takes me to my 9 inches, and that's perfect for me. All right, so I'm gonna turn, and this is how, let's make it even, this is how my back looks. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this yarn off of here, and I'm going to pull this through. So we're going to come in and make the strips, but I'm going to save my strap making for last. I want to show you first how to start putting the ruffles onto the skirt area. So we want to turn this upside down, and we want to start working in the back. And of course, where your little seam goes down, that would be the back. Okay, so I want to turn this onto its back. And remember, I said my first ruffle part is going to come in at my foundation chain. Okay, so I'm going to go through a starting point in my foundation chain, which will be right here, which is the middle. Now I'm going to move this color out of here, and I'm going to bring in my purple. Now, because I'm going to have 4 rows, my first row is going to be purple. Then I'm going to bring in my next color, then my next color, and then I'll bring purple back in at the top too. So it's going to be all about how you want to mix and match. You can have as many rows with ruffles and as many colors as you want. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add on this. And remember, we're working on our piece upside down. And I want to add my yarn on right there. Now we're going to be just working on one loop. That one loop that we've made all the way throughout, we'll just be working on that one loop. I'm going to chain 1, 2. Okay, now in that same loop, I want to add a half double. And I want to add 2 half doubles for every loop that we have. So that's 1, and I want to go right back in there and add another half double. And every loop, it's going to get 2 half doubles. Every loop will get 2 half doubles. And we're going to take that all the way around, placing 2 half doubles into every loop. And the reason why I start this in the foundation chain, because just like up here, we'll just be working in that one loop that we left behind. Okay, so all of our rows will just be worked in that one loop that we left behind. Just that one loop that we left behind. So I'm gonna go in and place 2 half doubles in each one loop. And you can already see that it starts to curl. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the whole foundation bottom, and with 2 in every stitch, and I want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2, chain 2, and then I want to turn my work. So now that we've done that, we just want to place one half double in every single stitch. Okay, so all of these are just going to get 1 half double. And just like we've been doing, every single time we get to the end of the row, we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2, and turn our work. and repeat. And from here on out, everything just gets 1/2 double. And we will continue this until we reach the length that we wanted for our dress. Now, let's turn this back over. From the waist, and the waist starts, this is our top row, ripple row, okay? So here it goes right here, the top one. So we're going to measure from the top one. Oh, wait. Measure and take backwards. We want to measure from that top ruffle row. Top ruffle row all the way to 7 inches is where I said I wanted my dress, okay? So that means this bottom row, I have to make sure from here, top ruffle row, where the waist begins at, will fall 7 inches. Now, if I go a little past this, that's fine. But remember, this is the bottom one on ruffle row on the dress. There will be there will be 3 more. So I want to make sure the bottom one reaches my 7 inches. Again, if I go past that, that means the dress will be longer, but it must go to where we want it to go, okay? And that's the bottom one, measuring from the top ruffle row, bringing this here, okay? Now, every other row leading up to the top ruffle row will be made just like this row. And we will make sure we do 2 rows less each row we go up, okay? So if this row we have 20 in this row, then our next ruffle row will only have 18 rows in it, and then our next one would have 16 rows in it, and our top one would have 14 rows in it. So each row is going to be 2 rows less than the one before it, but all made in exactly the same way as we made this one. So I'm going to go ahead and work this all the way out and establish where my 7 inches is. And then I'll come back in and show you guys that. Okay, so I've just finished my first ruffle row. And once I cut my yarn off, I just want to bring it through. Okay. So this is my first ruffle row, and I measured it, and here is where my first ruffle row will start. Well, my last ruffle row, because we're going backwards, will start. And you see I am past my 7 inches where I need to be. So that's perfect for me. I decided to go a little bit past because I was only at about 10 rows, and I wanted it to be a little bit longer since I'm taking off 2 rows every row. So I put myself at 8 inches. So this is 12 rows, and now that I know this is 12 rows, I'm gonna turn it back upside down. So my next one will be 10 rows. The one after that will be 8 rows, and the last one, which is the one that's going to be on top, will be 6 rows. So once you've established your bottom row, you're going to go ahead and add your yarn on. And I'm coming in with the color in which the whole piece, upper piece, is going to be in. And I want to bring that kind of at the close to the bottom, because I don't want that color too close to the top. So I'm going to add this on, and we're going to work just like we did with the last one, chaining up 2, and each of the single loops is going to get 2 half doubles. So each loop is going to get a half, 2 half doubles. All right, so I'm going to continue out this and finish up my ruffle rows, and we'll come back in and we'll work out our straps. Okay, so I have finished all of my ruffle rows. I have the first one we did, and the second one, and the third one we did, and the top one we did last. So that is how it looks. Turn it over. That's how it looks. Absolutely love it. It's pretty. Okay, so finish with the bottom portion of it. Now we want to look at the top. We're going to put our straps on. So I want to turn this to the back side is facing you. And we want to make sure that it's completely even. The top seam where we ended, it's dead in the middle, okay? Now, because these are customized dresses, everyone may have a different ending size. And of course, with the number I chained, which was 63, I'm going to end with that same amount at the top. So no worries if your number is uneven, is not an even number. It's not going to make a difference. So what I do to place my straps on, I take and I make sure this is absolutely flat. This is absolutely in the middle. And I fold it, okay? Now what I've done is I've want to be at least the width of the underarm here and here, okay? Even if it goes a little bit past the underarm, that's fine, but you want to at least to make sure it's placed correctly and it fits good at the top. You want to make sure you clear the underarm area. Now, of course, I'm making this for a little tiny toddler. So I have four. So I have 10 stitches blocked off here and 10 stitches blocked off here. I want to make my straps, again, because it's a little one, I don't want my straps to be too wide, but I want to make sure they're wide enough. In this area here, I have 6 stitches on both sides where I'm going to make my straps. I then have blocked off on the other side of that, okay? And this is going to be open space here. So I'm only going to be making my straps over 5 stitches, and I'm leaving 10 right here. So no matter what size you're doing, if you fold it perfectly, and cheat if you have the person that you're working with, because this is customizable with you, then of course you could just put it on it and pin exactly where you want to start your straps, which is mine is on the other side of my markers, and how wide you want your straps to be. Okay, so that's for that one. The one I made for my oldest daughter, she's a little bit older, and you've seen that dress as well. I did 12, and her straps were over 6 stitches. Okay, and then she had a little bit of a larger opening because she's obviously larger. All right, so I hope that solved how and where to place them. When I place them, I do not count how many stitches and go. I don't do that. This is what I do, so to make sure I have and I'm placing them where I want to. Now I want to start in the front, so I'm going to turn this over. Now I'm going to be using the same color as the whole dress. Now I want to start in the front of my work. Now remember, I place mine on the opposite side of where I'm going to be working. So I'm going to be working over these 5 free spaces. So I'm going to place my hook and add my yarn on. Now we're going to be doing this in single crochets, okay? So I'm going to go back inside of that same spot and make a single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet over the next 5 spaces. Okay, then I want to chain 1 and turn my work. Now the chain 1 is not going to count for anything. I'm going right back into that first stitch and make a single crochet, and single crochet all the way down my 5 stitches. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work and go right back in, and I'm going to do this back and forth for the length that I need for my straps. Now in the beginning I told you to measure from where you wanted the dress to stop on the child all the way to where you wanted to stop in the back. I took my measurements and I measured about 6 inches because this is going to give a little because it is yarn, so it's going to stretch a little bit. I'm going to come in under that mark, okay? So I know I need 6 inches. As long as this reaches that with a light stretch, okay, then that's where I'm going to stop. And of course, if you have the child with you, that is awesome, or whoever you're making this for, then that's even better because you can always slip it on to make sure your strap is long enough. So I'm going to keep going back and forth until I get my desired length, and then I'll come back and show you how to add it on to the other side where the 5 stitches that you skipped are. Okay, so I'm finished. It took me 19 rows to get to where I want to be with a light stretch. Okay, so I'm done with that. So now I know on the other side I have to make 19 rows of single crochets as well. So there are two ways, and I'm going to turn this around. One, you can cut your yarn off here, grab it and pull it through, and just come back and use a yarn needle to sew this into place. Okay, me, I'm just going to single crochet all the way along, but I want to do it on the opposite side. So I'm going to come out of my piece, pulling it up slightly, and I want to put it on, but I want to do it from this side. So to make that easier, I'm going to slightly turn my dress inside out. Okay, so I'm turning my dress inside out. So now I'm on the wrong side of my dress. I'm going to go back through. My yarn's in the inside, so pull it out. So here are my 5 stitches, and here I am. So I want to go through the top here, and I want to go into the first of the 5 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So I want to go in and make a single crochet. Then I'm going to go into the next stitch here and the next stitch in my 5 in the back. And make a single crochet. Now you can slip stitch across as well. I'm going to go into my next one and go into the next one on the back, and the 4th one and the 4th one in the back, and the 5th one here and the 5th one in the back. Pull my yarn. I'm going to cut it. Now I'm going to pull this all the way through, and of course I'll come back and weave that in. I'm going to push my dress back on the right side. And this is where the joint is in the back, and you see how that joins on. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing right here by adding on my yarn, and I'll do 19 because now I already know I need 19 rows of single crochet. So I'll do my 19 rows and add on from the inside of my piece. Okay, so I have placed my 2 straps, and you see I left these on the opposite side of my straps, so you can see that's the space for under the arm. This will be the neck area and the space under the arm. So that's how the strap should sit, with a little space on either side for under the arms, and here they go. So with this top area, if you want your straps to be wider, if you want them to be shorter, not as wide, then that's always up to you. But that's how I get my strap area together. All right. So now I want to show you how to put how to make the flower. I want to put a flower here. I don't know what side, but I'm most likely going to put it here. So I want to make a flower. So I'm going to pick one of my colors, and I think I'm going to go with the purple, and I'm going to move that out the way. Now to make the flower, we'll be using a 3.5mm hook, okay? We're gonna need to change hook size for our flower. So I'm gonna use my purple, and I'm going to add on. Now we want to chain up 36. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. So we'll be doing double crochets, and I want to skip the last 5 stitches, the chains that we just made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into the 6th chain from the hook, we're going to yarn over, go inside there, and make a double crochet. Okay? Just like that. And now we want to skip 1, 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain, we're going to go inside there and make a double crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and go inside that same space where we just put the double crochet and place another double crochet. Now we have a V-stitch. Now we'll be doing that all the way down to the end. So I'm going to show you that one more time. You're going to yarn over. You're going to skip 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain, we're going to place a double crochet. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3 times, yarn over, and go right into that same spot and place another double crochet. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way down. Skip 2 chains into the 3rd, go in and place a double crochet, chain 3, and go right back into that same space and place another double crochet. So all we're doing is making V stitches all the way down. So we'll continue that till we get to the end. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when you're done. It should curl. When we're done, we're going to be just rolling this all together. If you want your flower to be bigger than this flower, because this is a small one, if you want it to be bigger than this, you can chain 61. It's not 61. Start me off again. If you want your flower to be bigger than this, you can chain 66. There's just going to have, you're going to do the same exact thing we just did. You're just going to have more of it, okay? It's just going to be more. And just follow along with us, those of us who are making the smaller one. Okay? So once you get all of that done, and remember all the way up until that last chain, you're going to be placing V stitches. We want to chain 3 and turn our work. Now we're going to go into this first V stitch and place 5 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, and 5. After we have 5 double crochets, the space in between the V stitches, we want to go in and place 1 single crochet. Now into the next V stitch, we want to place 6 double crochets. So I'm going to go right into that second V stitch and place 6 double crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So again, into this space in between your V stitches, we want to go in and place a single crochet. Now into the next V stitch, we're going to put 8 double crochets. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, now we're gonna, in between the gap again, we wanna go in and place a single crochet. Now for all the other ones, except for your last 2, we want to place 8 double crochet. So we're going to place 8 double crochet in each one of our V stitches. Even if you're making a larger size, you're going to place 8 double crochet into each one except for the last 2. Okay, so you want to do that until you have 2 last V stitches left here and the one we put right on the end. Okay, so again, first 2, 5 in the first one, 6 in the second one, the third one is going to get 8, and all the other ones after that will get 8 until we get to our last 2. Making sure that we place the single crochet in between each one of our V stitches. Okay. Eight double crochets, single crochet, and the gap. Okay, so I've finished placing 8 in my last one before I get to these 2. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and put my single crochet in the middle, and the last 2 V stitches are going to get 10 double crochets. So 10 in the last 2. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to place my single crochet in between, and this last one will get 10 double crochets as well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is all twisty. Now I'm going to cut this off. And I'm just going to grab my yarn and pull that all the way through. Okay. So now what we have is this twisty turny thing, right? So I want to take my end where I started here, And this is where we put the 5. I want to roll that around starting from where we put 5. I'm going to weave in on my ends afterwards. And you just want to take, and we're just going to roll it all the way around. Just roll. Keep rolling. Roll. Roll some more. And you're going to roll it as tight as you like it, okay? And there we have our flower. All right. So in order to keep it in place, find my yarn needle. And I'm going to go and put purple. Gonna get enough. I'm gonna close one of the ends with a knot. And I just want to take, and again, I'll weave in my ends later. And I just want to sew this together, okay? So you sewing this together, it's what's going to hold your flower in place. So I want to go all the way around, just catching all the layers. Look at it and make sure I have it tight enough before I seal this in. Yeah, that's good for me. And I just want to go in and sew this in place. Okay, so I'm going all the way around, and you see now it's holding its shape on its own. So I just want to secure it all the way around just a little bit more. Okay, and I'll weave in my ends, but that's good. Now before I move on, I want to place a small knot in the back. Now while, and there you go, flower. All right, now while this is still attached, I'm gonna bring my dress back in, and I'm gonna place my hand, if I can find it, inside the dress. And I'm gonna pick the spot in which I want to place my flower, which I'm gonna say here. And I'm going to add my flower on. So my flower is going to be right there. And I just want to make sure I go in and out, and as many spots as I need to, want to, until I feel comfortable that my daughter is not going to rip this off of here. Okay, so just going to go through and add your flower on as secure as you want it. If you want your flower to be secure all the way around, then just make sure you do that without compromising your flower. So once you have your flower secure on, and I'm not going to do it all the way because again, I have a toddler who the first thing she's going to do is pull at this and see if she can make it come off. So once you finish that, you go in the inside and you're just going to place a knot. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm still going to continue working, but I'm going to show you. Just pull it up, go through that loop so you could place a knot, and you could do that as many times as you feel secure. And then once you're done, I would just weave this in and out of my flower and then cut my yarn at the base. But I'm not going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave this right here because I want to weave that in a little bit more. We have our dress with our flower on it. We have our straps. All we have to do now is weave in all of these ends. But I want to show you how, if you would like to make the little jacket. And this is the jacket I made from the other one. And as you see, it's very simple and it's very fitted. Okay. And we don't need any more measurements than the one we have. And this is very, very simple. So what we want to do is we know the number count in which we ended with, okay? Mine being 63. So I want to pick my color that I want. I think I'm working with this color. So I'm going to pick the color that I want. And we're going to go back to our 4.5 hook. So we're bringing that back in. We only switch hooks for the flower. So now, I want to chain the amount that we ended with, which is the same number we began with, mine being 63. Okay. So I want to chain 63, and then I'm going to add 6 onto that. Okay. So I'm going to be chaining 69. So the chain that you originally started with plus 6. So whatever this number at the top is, plus 6. Even if you decided to bring yours in more than where you started and you did more decrease rows, just count the top and whatever that number is, plus 6. Okay. So I have my chain of 69. Again, I began with 63. I added 6 more to it. So I want to yarn over and not into the first chain from the hook, but into the second. I want to go in there and place a half double. And I want to half double all the way to the end of this chain. So your chain, your end row should have one less than what you chained, because we only skipped one stitch. So we're going to go all the way to the end of the row. Okay, so I have my chain done, my first row, done here. Now, the sweater, and I'm going to place it around my dress. As you see, this right here is how the dress, how the sweater is going to look. We will be putting a few rows around the outside, but because we already have our dress, we need to decide where we want our sweater to come in. Now, it's a half sweater. If you want it to be if you want it to be down to the waist, then you already know how many rows you need in order to make it to the waist. I want my sweater to sit midway. Okay, I want my sweater to sit midway. So because I know where I want my sweater to sit, all I have to do is count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I already have one row. Now I know I need to make 11 more rows to get to where I want to be right before we come in for the under the arm. Okay, so that's how you're going to judge your length. You already have the rows. If you want your sweater to fall down to the waist, then you basically would just count how many rows you need and you would make that. So I know I need to make 11 rows. I'm going to make my 11 rows. We're just going to be making half doubles. Oh, wrong end. We're going to be just making half doubles, making sure we chain 1 at the end of every row, turn our work, yarn over, and we're going right back into that first stitch and placing our half doubles. So I'm going to go up in that same way for my 11 rows, and I'll come back in and we'll establish the front from the back and make our armholes. Okay? Okay, so I have finished going up the amount of rows I wanted. I changed it. I said I wanted to go up 11. I only went up 9 rows because I want to put a little border around the bottom. It's probably going to be simple, like probably single crochets. I think I'm going to do with this one, keeping it really, really simple. So I'm just going to do maybe 2 rows of single crochets at the bottom. So instead of doing 11 rows, I decided to do 9, which gave me room to put a border on it without it going past where I don't want it to go past. Now, I've just taken and laid the dress in the middle of my what's going to be a little sweater, and I'm placing it on here. Now you see I have the extra space because I want 6 more. If you want it to be more fitted, then you might not want to put on as much as 6, but I think that's perfect. So I put on 6 more stitches here than I have the number count around here. So I want to go in, and this is of course depending on what size you're going to be doing. Just customize. So depending on what you're doing, you'll see where you want to start. I want my front panel to be about 13 stitches, okay? And that brings me here, 13 stitches. So that's, for me, all I need to know. I'm going to work back and forth from here. And you see I did not cut my yarn off when I finished. So I'm just going to work over 13 stitches here. So I'm going to work 13 stitches, and those 13 stitches are going to work right above where my strap ends, okay? So I want it to go right above to where my strap ends, and that's where I'm going to begin. So I'm going to move my dress out. And again, I'm not putting stitch markers on it because I already know what I want. So where I ended off, pull my yarn back down. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And then I'm just going to half double and the next 13 stitches. 2 and 13. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And now I'm going to go right back in and work over these 13 stitches, chaining 1 when I get to the end and turning my work until I've reached past my strap. And remember, your strap has a little bit of give, so if you want to put an extra row on there just to make sure you have definitely gone past it. Or again, when I'm my cheat, which is to size it on the person you're making for. So chain 1, and I'm going to turn and keep going back and forth. Okay, so I just finished working up over those 13 stitches, and as you can see, I am 1 row past my strap. Okay, so that's perfect for me, and I went up 2, 4, 6, 7 rows. So I'm going to cut this yarn here, and I'm going to pull this through. Now, I worked over 13 stitches here. So on the outside, on this side, we want to work up 13 stitches here, okay? So I'm just going to take and add my yarn on in the first stitch. And work down 13 stitches and come up 7 rows. Okay, so I have my 13 on both sides, and I've went up 7 rows. So now I want to do my back portion. So my daughter has little arms, and this went up high enough for me because this is going to become the armhole. So I'm only going to go over about 3, yeah, about 3 spaces. I'm going to leave open. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to leave open, and I'm going to go into the 4th one, and I'm going to go all the way over half double crochets until I have left 3 unworked spaces on stitches on the other side. And this is going to become her armhole. Okay, and again, she has little arms, so I don't want to go over too much because I want to leave enough space. Now, depending on the age and size of your piece, you'll determine how much you want to leave, so you make sure your armhole is big enough. Okay, the other dress that you saw, my older daughter, I left 4 spaces open for her. Okay, so again, it depends on who you're making it for, and you can always try to cheat and size it and try it on them and see how much you need to leave open. I'm just going to add my yarn and start my half doubles, and I'm going to go all the way down until I have only 3 left unworked. And just like on the front pieces here, we're going to work our way up 7 rows. Okay, so I have finished my back piece, working over and leaving 3 here and 3 here unworked, and going up 7 rows. So now that I've done that, I'm going to fold this over here, and I'm going to fold it over here. All right, and all we have to do is close this off. So I'm going to go through the top here, and we're just matching this up with a single crochet, and that's how we're going to close off the tops. So I'm going to add my yarn on and go through both back and front, chain 1, and I'm going back in, and I'm going to make a single crochet. Now I'm going to go through the first one here and the first one in the back, the second one here and the second one in the back, and make a single crochet. And I'm going to do that all the way down, all 13 stitches. So I should have 13 in the front, and I should be grabbing 13 in the back, and just making single crochets. And I'm getting my last one, 13th one here, and in the back. Once I've done that, I'm gonna cut my yarn and pull it through. And now I want to do the same thing here, but I would like to start from the end. So I'm gonna flip this over, going through the first one here and the first one right here. Add on my yarn, chain one, go back inside, grab my yarn and make a single crochet. And now the same thing, I'm matching the second one with the second one and make a single crochet, and the third one with the third one and make a single crochet, and all the way to the 13th one. So when I get to the end, cut my yarn and pull it through. Now this side becomes our back side, our inside, so we're going to flip that around just like that and put our joint area on the inside. And the only thing now we have left to do is to go around, okay, and place some type of border on the outside. Mine is going to be really, really simple. I just want to put single crochets on the bottom and around. So I'm going to place them along the bottom first, and then on the inside. But let's start with the arm. So the arm, you see I have a little arm because I have a little person. So I want to go through here, and this is why how much you leave open on the bottom matters, and how much you go up matters, because all of that is going to become one circle. So we want to make sure our circle is wide enough for the arm to pass through it, and also not too large to where it's swimming on a little arm. I'm not going to put too much of a sleeve on it, just a little bit of sleeve. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to establish that, and I'll decide how many rows I'm going to go up. So I'm going to add my yarn at the bottom in the middle of the three stitches that I left open. And I'm going to go back in and place a half double. Now I'm going to half double all the way around this arm and every available stitch that I have. Now when I get to the sides, I'm working on these half doubles on the side, and I'm just going to place one half double for each half double that I have on the side. I'm just going to go around and place my half doubles all the way around till they're even. Okay, I don't want them to be too bunched up. I don't want them to be too wide. Now whatever number of stitches I put around here, I will put on the other side. We don't want them to be uneven. So whatever, wasn't a stitch. Whatever I do here, I want to make sure I do the same number on the other side. As you see, not too close together, not too far apart. I kind of want to move as if I'm not working on my side. but as if there's already established stitches there. Okay, and once I get back to where I started, I want to slip stitch in the top of that half double that I began with, chain one, and turn my work so I'm working back the way I just came. So now I'm going to go back the way I just came. I chained one here. I'm going to go right back into that stitch and place a half double. If you want to chain two and leave that as your first stitch instead of placing a half double there, that works the same. I just like it better to keep a half double instead of a chain two, which would represent a half double. Now I'm going to go all the way back around, placing a half double in every stitch. And I have one stitch here, and I am back to where I started. So I'm going to slip stitch into the half double that I made, the first one, slip in stitch, chain one, and turn my work again. And now I'm going right back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, and I'm going to place a half double. Again, if you prefer, you can chain two, and that would hold for that stitch. And then I'm just going to keep going around. Now this is my third row. You look at this. I don't want to give too much to my arms, so I don't know how many rows I'm going to go around, but I'm going to go around just a few more. Okay, I want to show you something. If you decide to put a longer sleeve on it, my next row I'm going to do one decrease and show you how I decrease my sleeves, just in case you decide to put a longer sleeve on it, or if your sleeve is armhole is a little bit too big and you want to bring it in some. So I'm going to go around to the beginning, and I'm going to show you how I decrease my sleeves. Alright, and I'm at the last stitch for this row. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the half double we began with, chain one, and I'm going to turn my work. Now again, if your arm hole is too big and you want to decrease it to bring it in some, I decrease 2 times on one row. In the first 2 stitches, okay? Well, not the first 2 stitches. So that first stitch where we chain 1, I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to place a half double, okay? I never decrease on the first stitch. So I decrease in stitch 2 and 3, and then the last 2 stitches on that row. So I always decrease 2 times when I'm decreasing my arms. All right, so I'm gonna yarn over, go into the second stitch, grab my yarn and pull up, go immediately into the third stitch, grab my yarn and pull up. I have 4 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and take off all 4. And then I'm going to keep going around until I get to my last 2 stitches in that row. Now I'm at the last 2 stitches in that row, so I want to yarn over, go into the one before the last one, grab my yarn and pull up, go immediately into the last one, grab my yarn and pull up. I have 4 loops on my hook. I want to yarn over and take all of them off. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my first half double, chain 1, and turn my work. That is how I decrease, okay? And I never do 2 decrease rows back to back. I always, again, we're going to begin with our half double on the first stitch, and I'm going to go all the way around, placing half doubles. And then if I wanted to decrease again, I wanted it still smaller, I would do that on the following row. So that's how I decrease. I don't really want to decrease anymore. I just wanted to show you that one, but I'm going to leave it in. It does no harm. So if you want to decrease, if your armhole is too big, or if you're making it longer than I am and you wanted to have it come in naturally, that's how I do it. And you can start that on the first, well, not the first. The first, I always go around to see how many stitches I have. You can always start that on the second row or wherever you would want it to start coming in at. So you all, I have 4 rows already on here. And again, I don't want much sleeve, so I think that's pretty much where I'm going to stop. I'll put on 1 more, and that's where I'm going to stop at. So however many stitches you have going around here, you want to make sure you have that going around here. It might be tricky if you have, this is little, so if I have 22 going around here, I got to make sure I have 22 going around here. And if you decrease like I did on the 4th row, then you have to make sure, well, yeah, 4th row, then you have to make sure you do the same over here so your sleeves are even. And then I'll come back in and we'll show. Okay, so I've finished putting on both of my sleeves. Now I'm just going to take and add my yarn, and I'm going to turn it this way. And I'm going to add first to the bottom, adding at the beginning, going through, chaining 1, and going back in and making a single crochet. So I'm going to single crochet all the way along the bottom, chain up 1, go back into the first stitch, and put another row on. So I'll have 2 rows of single crochet along my bottom. Okay, so I finished going around the bottom, and I just did the simple border of 2 double crochets. I mean 2 single crochets around the bottom. So now I want to put 3 single crochet rows around the inside. So I'm going to be going all the way up and around. And I think that's what I'll like, just 3. And now I'm just going to be placing my single crochets so they're nice and evenly looking all the way up the front, because there is no There is no established stitch. We're working on the sides of our half doubles. And of course, your borders can be anything you want. I thought what would look really cute on the bottom would be to put on a little ruffle around the bottom. That would look really pretty. I just wanted to keep mine super simple. If anyone tries that, to put the little ruffle around the bottom of this piece, I want to see. You have to send me a picture some kind of way on one of my social media sites, because I would love to see what it would look like. Just establish your border by placing 2 in each stitch and then coming around with it, 1 in each stitch on the second row of your border, and that would give you the same ruffles that you have on your dress. And now I think that would look really, really cute. It's a simple row of ruffles. And again, we just want to go all the way around. Not even. Now, once we come into the corner where our join area is, we want to make sure we put one there and all the way around. So I'm going to keep going all the way around till I get here. Then right here, chain 1, turn or work, and go right back around, come back down here, and chain 1, and then go right back around. Okay, so I have finished going around the inside, and I placed 3 rows of single crochet there. So if you would like to, you could go around whatever border you use. I use single crochet around the sleeves and do that, but I chose not to do that around my sleeves. The last thing I want to show you, just in case you don't know, because everything is finished, the only thing we have to do now is weave in our ends. So all of these little loose ends we have, you just want to take them and take a yarn needle. That's a needle that is able to fit your yarn through it. And I want to work in round about the same spot. And I just want to go back and forth weaving this in. And you want to do it as many times as you feel as though you need to do it, being secure that that is secure in there. I'm actually gonna go one more time. And then you just want to cut that at the base so you don't see it. And you're going to do that with all of the little pieces, including on your dress. Okay, so let's do a little show here, of what the dress looks like with the little jacket on it. Okay, and that's that. And like I said, with everything that we did, you could always keep trying on to make sure everything is where you want it to be. And I still have to go back when I'm weaving in. Make sure you secure down your flower good. Now I'm going to finish weaving in my ends. This is so cute. I love it. All right. And I need 21 inches. I go shorter than 21 inches, and that's still going to give me exactly what I need because it's going to have a little give to it. So, yeah. Nick. So, yeah, we're going to go watch Zootopia. Nick. Yeah, so again, we're going to watch Zootopia, one of us. And we're going to get to right to the video. And
That was broke poop.
what?
Hold on a second.
Navina. Say hi. So, yeah, Navina still has her dress on. You say hi?
Hi.